Right now, the fashion industry is probably the third most polluting industry. It emits about 5 to maybe 10% of the world's carbon. 95% of the items that hit a landfill could be reworn in their current form. So it's really just a problem of not necessarily knowing what else to do with an item that you're not using anymore.
Consignment shops years ago were very small. There wasn't very many of them. It's all about people reselling the items that they have bought.
People will bring me whatever they're not wearing, and if it's anything I think we can sell, we put it out on the sales floor for 2 months. If it sells, they get 40% of the selling price. If it doesn't sell, they have the option to come back and claim it. Otherwise, we just donate it to a thrift store right down the road, because they'll also give it back to the community. And anything that they can't repurpose back into the community, another local company called EcoSmith picks it up, and then they will responsibly recycle it into like textiles and filling and that kind of stuff. So nothing that we don't accept or that expires here ever really goes to a landfill or gets dumped in the ocean, anything like that. I was born in Exeter and I grew up in York. My husband and I live in North Berwick now. It felt like the right place for us to pick because of UNH and because the town is so sustainable. I kind of like the fact that we have opposite retail markets to like most of the world. Like Christmas is slow and the summer is slow. If I was in like a resort town like Portsmouth, like summer would be non-existent for me. That's ultimately when I want to be with my family. I spent 13 years working under like the Gap, Banana Republic, Old Navy bubble as a merchant. So I did a lot, with the New England region with that. Like at first I started in the Kittery store as a merchant. So just like putting out the new stuff that came in, deciding where it goes, all that kind of stuff. And then I did a little bit of time in like men's merchandising, and eventually I worked on it for the whole district when we were doing store openings and stuff. I would captain that so that I would go there and train the staff and get to merchandise all that fun stuff. They're definitely not a sustainable company, and I don't think sustainability was on my radar as much back then, but they were a great company in the sense of benefits. When I found out I was pregnant, I decided I needed more work-life balance, so I worked in Portsmouth for 7 years managing a consignment store there. In Boston Children's for on and off like 6 weeks right after she was born, and it just required a lot of time. I also had a second child during the pandemic, and we found out that she had a genetic disorder. So we were in Boston Children's for on and off like 6 weeks right after she was born, and it just required a lot of time. Like me as a person, it was so hard of me to like not feel like I could give her my all or give Charlie, my daughter, my all. So I had to like make a decision, and ultimately my husband and I decided that like sustainability part of it was really important to me. Like the world just needs more of that. Like why not try and make it work on my own? It was like I said it out loud. I got over the scariest part. Like, in retrospect, I don't know that it was probably like the smartest thing because I had like no money saved. I hadn't signed a lease. I hadn't done anything like that. But it was almost like some like tough love. You're getting more money back in your pocket too. Like if you're not wearing something and you can sell it and get something you want to wear, like that's wonderful. Or if, you can't pay for gas and you need it, and you can sell something you're not wearing to pay for gas. I feel like that's a really huge benefit of shopping consignment versus secondhand. And where thrifting is so huge, like people come in here expecting like thrift store prices, and it's like, well, this stuff wasn't donated. I have to be accountable for pricing it and making it worth your while. Like, I think that's what's great about us. And we do, like, I hear it a lot. We're like the expensive thrift store on campus. And I'm always like, it's because we're not a thrift store. Ultimately, I'd love all different sizes, all different ages to be able to find stuff. So we get a lot of the middle schoolers when school gets out and they have their freedom walking around. But like, we also get an older generation that might just be looking for a sweater and stuff like that. They don't want to go to the mall and go to H&M or, you know, like there's not a lot of options where we live. I think it's a little different if you're like in a city or something, but this area particularly does not have a lot. Even downtown Portsmouth, like there's a lot of really great boutiques, but you could potentially be paying a lot of money for ultimately fast fashion. And I don't, you know, like, I hate saying that, but it's true. Like, so many of the mainstream brands that people love nowadays are fast fashion, but I think people just automatically are like, Shein, Temu. Portsmouth is ultimately a resort town, so there's a community, but there's also a lot of tourists that come into town, and they're the ones that want to find the Louis Vuitton bag for really cheap, that kind of stuff. Have sustainability as their mission. I think a lot of them like want to sell 5 Louis Vuitton bags and you know, $10,000, and that's great. Like, for me, I'd rather price it less and have it sell. And we are a little controversial in the sense that I do take fast fashion, because what's the alternative to not? Whereas I know there's secondhand stores that are not for that. Like, they don't want to support that. They don't want that to be an option. For us, you know, like, being a part of the community is really important to me. You know, like, we're specifically in a little bit of a different, you know, area that I think it enables me to do more with the community. It enables us to be more involved with, you know, UNH, but also like the middle school levels. Like, Soul Models is a great organization that's empowering middle school girls that we do. We facilitate a day with them every camp. Like, they come around and do every different school. So like, we did Barrington in November, and we just basically give them all sewing kits. We teach them about upcycling, like all that stuff, that like fashion isn't a throwaway anymore. If you stain something, you can tie-dye it. If the button doesn't fit you, you can, you know, put a new button on it. That kind of easy stuff that you're missing in school nowadays. I mean, when I grew up, home ec was a thing. Everyone learned to sew. Everyone learned to do that kind of stuff. And now nobody learns that stuff. When I was a kid, thrifting was not cool. But I come from a like long line of thrifters. You know, my grandmother was an antique dealer for years. My mom has always thrifted and like volunteered at the thrift store. So they really like appreciate that kind of stuff. And they used to force me. Like, she'd be like, well, you know, you can find Abercrombie at the thrift store. So I love that we're able to like be involved with that and share that message with people. I get that it's easier. Like I said, I bought pajamas for my child today because we're going on the Polar Express. And it was like, I did go to one kid's consignment store first today. But it's, you know, the options are not there. And that's why I'd love to see more of them pop up. I feel like New England's a little behind. Initially, I always wanted to have a second store. I wanted to do more, be more. It's hard. And it's like, burnout is a real thing in secondhand. Like, we get thousands of pieces of clothing a month. Like, you don't even, it's hard to put it into numbers, and I probably could potentially look them up, but the ones that don't make it into our computer system and just get donated, consigners take them back when we say no to them. Like, it's got to be like 10,000.
Yeah.
And the statistics do show, which I don't have in front of me, but it's on the rise. Like, people are becoming more aware. People are shopping more secondhand. So I'd love to just see that grow. I mean, well, yeah, I think environmental impact is huge, but I think, again, like uniqueness, like you'll find something that fits your style that you wouldn't necessarily find at the mall. You're saving money. Like, for people that can't afford to buy a Canada Goose jacket, if you can find one for 75% less and still look, like you can afford a Canada Goose jacket, I think that that's something that's, really appealing. The more we consume secondhand, the less the demand will be for fast fashion and people to produce a million things a day. I totally understand that fast fashion can be special because it's cheap and you want a different outfit. Like, that's the expectation, but like I hope that more people will think to move towards secondhand versus fast fashion.
It's so sustainable for our community because we are keeping income here. So somebody brings their clothing in, they use their money that they get from here to maybe pay their rent or go to the co-op. It just feels better to shop small and to shop sustainably and keeping money in our community.
If there was more consignment stores, I think it would be easier for people to go places. And I think you could shop where your vibe is,
We style all of them. We colorize all of them, like our mannequins too over here. Like, we take pieces that probably people would never think of putting together and then putting them together and making a whole new look.
I hope that people stop investing in fast fashion and focus on what we already have.